Hey, welcome back to the secret underground lair. Today, we're working on the top of our cabinet. That's our solid piece of solid maple that I have now set up here on the work table with the work table router sled. Actually, our Bedrail Router Sled, as I like to call it. So our piece is just a little shy of 18 inches in width. The overall width when we're done is going to be 16 inches, but got a little bit of play on either side. And I'm going to be taking about 1/8 of an inch off this piece. That should just get me to the outside edges. And there's a little bit of a cup on this piece. I think I have an idea for improving that in the future. I'm going to do some glue ups, but what I think happens is this very wide plank that I started with was cupped to begin with, and when I made my cuts with the bed rail and put the A and B sides together, I simply restored that original cup. So it would have made sense after I'd made that initial cut to lay the piece flat and make another cut on the A and B sides, and that would eliminate that cupping. But I didn't do that, so that's the result I'm left with. It's okay, I can live with that on this piece. So with the bed rail put in place, the piece mounted on the table and the router sled in place, let's clean up this top. That is today's adventure. So after our first pass, you can kind of see where the cupping is on this wood. We're going down I'll go down about 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to make very light passes on this. This is, being maple, it's a pretty hard wood. So I'm just going to go down a little wee bit at a time, and we'll work our way down to a flat surface. So I'll set you up for another pass. That gave us a pretty nice, you can really start to see how the surface is going to turn out here. I'm going to go down one more 1/16, and then I think from there we'll just handle the rest with the belt sander. You get to a point where you wonder, okay, is the juice worth the squeeze? But another 1/16 is worth it, so we'll go for that. For a closer look here at what we've got, just a little shy over there, and just a little shy through here, and then we'd have, if I went down 1/32 of an inch, I think I'd get all of that, and probably up to about here, and that is almost the exact bit that we need. In fact, if we're looking for a 16-inch top, get to here would cut off all this. So I'm thinking I'm going to go down. I will go down 1/32 of an inch. So it's just going to be a really light pass, and then we'll call that a day. Then we'll finish off the rest with the belt sander. But I think we're going to get all we need from this top with 1/32 of an inch. So one last final pass. That's an oxymoron or redundant, isn't it? One final pass, and then we'll go to the sander. Well, I'm very pleased with the result of that operation. So it just gave me a little bit here that could be cleaned up with the belt sander, but the piece is probably going to be cut about here anyway to get us the length that we want. So that's likely going to be cut off, which means the only piece that would require touching by the belt sander is this little corner up here. And again, I'm going to be cutting off to length, probably about here. So it's just this little piece here that would require some attention. So again, overall, very happy with the result of that. Now I'm thinking I'm going to flip the piece over completely and do a treatment on the other side just to kind of even it up a little bit. I'm not looking for the same kind of degree of finish on the top as I am on the underside, but I would like to get it cleaned up a little bit. So I'm going to do that now. So our piece is flipped over. This first cut's going to be a little bit rough, and it's a little bit higher on the outside edges, so that's going to get the most of the cutting, and then we'll come down. Probably won't get anything on the first pass through the middle here, but let's see what happens. Overall, that turned out pretty good. So I'm going to go down another 1/16, and that should clean up this entire area. Maybe not right in here, but we'll see. Certainly get rid of this. The only piece that I think is going to be a problem is this area right down in here, where this piece took a little bit of a twist. But again, that's the part of the table, the top, that would be cut off when we cut to length. So I just need to be a little mindful of that. But we'll go down one more 1/16 of an inch, make one more pass on this side. All right, that's as far as I will go with the rotor sled. That's come out very nice too. Yeah, I kind of like it. So a little bit low here, but that should come out with the belt sander quite easily. This is a little more problematic. I'm going to measure to see how far our tabletop would come if I were to cut it here, because I might be able to treat a little bit of that with the belt sander. We do have a little bit of gouging in here that's a problem, but I think that would be cut off. We'll get the tape measure and we'll see where we go. So 60 inches will take us to here, which means we would get rid of all of that would be gone. I just have this little mark here. So I'm going to bring over the belt sander now. We'll run the belt sander over all this area here just to see what that can do in terms of cleaning it up. And we'll have another look. And speaking of cleaning up, oh man, the rotor makes a mess, doesn't it? And this is kind of what I'm walking in. It's just, I got piles and piles of sawdust. So I'm going to clean up the floor in the area. I made a little pile over here of sawdust that I had collected out of this area as I was making each pass. So do a little physical cleanup of the shop, and then we'll bring out the belt sander and clean up that part. I think that's going to come out very nicely, actually. So I'm going to continue with the belt sander. This belt is pretty old though, so I'm going to put on a new belt It is a 60 grit belt, so I'm just going to do this lightly, and then we'll start sanding down with finer and finer paper. This is looking good. I got to make a decision though, which side's the top and which is the bottom. Interesting problem. All right, let me continue with the belt sander. So this is what I anticipate will be the top side after going over it with the belt sander. That came out pretty nice. I'm pleased with that. Obviously it needs some fine sanding. That's just a real rough sand. Then I'm going to set the camera down here, flip it over, and show you the other side. And this is what I'm anticipating will be the underside. But let me know what you think. This certainly is a lot whiter and would reflect better with the ends and the door facings that we're going to put on. On the other hand, the other side looks better with the legs, so it kind of ties them all in. Just the same, it's amazing what comes out of a piece of wood that started looking like that. Quite pleased with that result. This is a heavy sucker, but boy, I like the look of it. So, time now for bite of lunch. So again, here's our top, and then I just put a little bit of water on it to bring out the grain. This is what we're going to use this side for the top. That's kind of our executive decision. So I'm really pleased with how that's come out. Step now is to cut it, obviously, to size, width and length. But before I do that, I'm going to reassemble and final assembly of the cabinet itself. So that's what I'm going to put up on the workbench. We'll get the cabinet up here and start gluing that together. I've placed the major pieces of the cabinet on the work table, and it occurred to me that before I assemble this, I want to drill the holes. I'm going to put 4 holes in here for the shelves. So we'll do that now before we get assembling these panels. So I've just marked and punched the spot where I want to drill the holes for the shelf brackets. So I'm going to put five shelves, 5 holes in each end and middle. They're 1.5 inches apart. On the middle section, because there's going to be, I'm going to have a shelf on this side, shelf on this side, and a shelf on this side. I've put the holes at 1.25 inches from the edge on the one side and 1.5 inches in from the other side, so that the hole going through here won't meet up with the hole coming through on this side. Okay, so I'll put a drill bit in the drill press, and then we'll go over there and drill these holes. So I've got a 13/64 drill bit that will drill the hole that I need for a 5mm shelf bracket. All right, that's one. So just do that 3 more times. All right, ready to glue up the first end assembly. So a few clamps involved here just to kind of help me keep things straight. I've got two 90-degree clamps here, or corner clamps, on the leg in the lower piece. And then when I have kind of the mortise is going, or the tenons going into the mortise, then we'll use this clamp to cinch it all together. When it comes to the top mortise and tenon joint, that can simply slip in from the top, so I don't need to worry about the side-to-side motion. And before I put on the top piece, of course, we're going to have to slip in the panel itself. So let's start this glue up. Okay. It's giving me what I want. I'm going to take off those little quarter clamps now. Take off these guys and slip the panel in. I'm going to try. I want to be sure that I have the inside coming into the inside. All right, finally got this panel together. This gave me a little more aggravation than I was expecting. The panel was a little tight fitting into the dado that I had cut into this leg. I'm not sure why, because when we did our dry fit, it went really well. So maybe just over time, the day or two that it was left to sit, the wood swelled a little bit. I'll do a test on the other end piece before we get in any glue involved. But suffice to say, this one is now ready to go. So I'm just going to set this off to the side for a minute while we do the other end. Okay, this one dry fits beautifully, so I'm happy with that. And let's glue this together. And I'm not putting any glue on the dado ends. The end pieces just sit in the slots. At this stage of construction, it is sure helpful to have labeled every piece. So, for example, this is letter I, so I know that's going to go into the eye over here. So it just really helps to orient everything and keep things straight in my own mind. Here's one of those dreaded situations where you get a little bit of glue somewhere and then it just starts spreading onto everything else that you touch. So just trying to keep ahead of that best I can. And here's my lettering. So Y will go to Y, Z to Z. Very glad that I made those marks. Okay, there is our other end. And now we'll work on the middle piece. Okay, was getting ready to glue up the center section when I realized that this has to be done. Be kind of careful about the order of operations here. This has to be, the center panel gets inserted after the floor is in. So I'm going to have to assemble this kind of in situ as the end pieces are put up. I'll join them together to this, put the floor in, and kind of glue this as all part of that assembly. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, but yeah, order of operations is very important here. All right, I've got our right end and our center sections just kind of standing. Hopefully no strong winds happen. And I'm going to try and connect these two guys on our lower rails, and at the same time get this guy connected. In fact, I'll do that first. So this is a little bit of a tricky and timely operation here. So glue these guys together through this piece and then attach them onto these lower rails. Now we'll apply some glue to these 4 rails. 2 rails rather. 4 joints, 2 rails. grin. Got a lot of glue running around, so I'm just going to clean up that. Okay, that is one end of our cabinet. And it occurred to me just now that if I slip the back into this piece, that might help keep it square. So I'm going to do that. All right, that is half of the cabinet. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this sit overnight. I have my clamp here is blocking that hole, so I can't insert that lower rail. So I think I'm just going to glue up this half of the cabinet for tonight. In the morning, we'll put the other end on. Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and get into a situation where I'm setting myself up for failure here. So I'll leave the cabinet as is for now and call that a video for today. So thank you very much for watching. I just wanted to take a second and say how much I appreciate you taking the time to watch a video like this. There's so much content out there, great creators and people doing amazing things, and just to have you spend a few minutes with me looking at stuff that I'm doing, it means an awful lot to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, so I said that's a video for today. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.